Hello everybody, it's time for another Arts and Crafts Friday, and I am going to share with you an altered book. An altered book that I made and an idea. And I made a whole bunch of these a while back. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of rough looking, but I kind of like it that way. I was really into altered art at the time, and I still am. So this book really shows a lot of that. So an altered book is basically what you do is you start off with like a kid's book where, you know, they're kind of cardboardy, the kids' books, and you take it and all of the pages, you just sand them down, you sand all the pages, and then you can put gesso over it. It's like a white acrylic paint, and that gives it like a blank canvas to start on, and you start laying down your own artwork. And so this used to be a kid's book. And it looks kind of rough, and I kind of added my own fun little binding here. On the side I painted gold. But we took a trip as a family to San Juan Capistrano one year in the summer. And so this book was to commemorate our trip. And so when we were there, there were all these pictures of these beautiful doors and windows, and so I took a whole bunch of those and I photocopied them. So these are black and white photocopies of those windows. And then on the front here, this picture here is, there's like a little altar or something like that was left inside of the wall, and I took a picture of that. So that's the picture of that, and it's covered with glass, and the glass is only a couple of microscopic sheets that you use when you're looking at something under a microscope, and so those are just glass, microscopic glass, and so I have that glued over it to kind of like add a little bit of a protection. And then down here I used a little bit of metal tape, and in that metal tape I used kind of like an embossing kit, and I just embossed the words of Revelation 3:20. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and dine with him, and he with me. And those are the words of Christ. And I thought that was very fitting since we were at the mission at San Juan Capistrano, and we were going in. Let me open this page up and then I'll bring it back. All right, so here's when I opened up the page, I took all these pictures. So this picture here is one of the doorways, and this is actually a picture that I printed out. This is art paper. It's called BFK Reeves, and I actually fed that through the printer and printed on top of that because I wanted to be able to, work on top of that with some pastels. And so there's some of the colors in here are actually pastels that I actually worked into there. Let's see, I think that is a copy printed out on like translucent paper. And then this one here this wasn't taken at the mission. I think this was just a kind of like an aerial view looking up at the ceiling at the Bellagio in the area where they have all of the plants and everything in the conservatory. And so what I did was I took a picture of that. I took a photocopy, took some like shelf liner paper, so it's kind of like contact paper, and I put it over the copy. And I'll do this in another day to show you how I do it. And then I pressed it into there, and you wet it, and so you get rid of the paper, but the copy stays on the plastic, and so that's what I use. But that is a water transfer, and I'll do that on another day. And then I worked into it with pastels, back here with some paints. Here's a little picture of me and my hubby getting a little kiss. And this is actually a piece of an earring, and I'm using that as a frame. So kind of using a found object. Let's turn it over to the other side. This was a really neat, when we were there at San Juan Capistrano, they had a lot of neat textures, and I thought this was a really neat area because you had this soft, billowy pillow texture, and then it met up right with with like an old brick part of the building, and I thought that contrast was really neat. So I took that and just started working in some of like some sky with pastels here. I took a picture of a raven. Again, this is a contact paper transfer of a bird. And then down here, I had a butterfly. That is another transfer. And I really want a lot of it to kind of look old and aged and kind of like, I want the colors coming in and out. Just, I want this to be kind of like a dream. And so the colors here in this beautiful little, almost a Van Gogh painting piece here, I collaged it in, and I kind of try to mimic that color scheme up here on top. And then this here, which is just added for a little bit of texture and color, is just some tape that you would use like on a construction site or something like that. And I find that things that I find at Home Depot work very well in arts and crafts mixed media. You can usually use, they got a lot of neat stuff. And then I've got some glued paper flowers right over here. Okay, this is the next page. And as you could see, they had a lot of, I don't know if this is heather. I think they had heather growing everywhere. So this is a picture I took of the heather, and this is a transfer. And when you do transfers, sometimes you get this real crackly look like this. And then I've got some of this, I don't think it's washi tape. I think it's just stickers, but it says, you know, precious, of great worth, beloved, paradise, heaven, a place of state of great happiness, perfection of beauty, and peace. And so I just, you know, just felt so good to be here, and I took pictures of the bells and worked that in as well. And I thought that just made a really nice composition on this page. And then on this page, this is one of my favorite pages. This is a window, and I find that I really love to take pictures of windows and doorways because they all look so different no matter where they're at. God's wonders. So I was taking pictures down here of a field, and it had such beautiful, as you can see that, flowers growing there. And so what I did was I printed out my picture on this translucent paper so you can kind of like flip it open and see. They also had there a pond, and I took a picture of the pond and I worked that in here. So I just kind of wanted to mimic, you know, the pond movement, bringing it out here with some collage materials. All right, this book is quite old now, and I really need to take care of it. So on this page, I have some watercolors and some pastels, and I've got stamping materials. So I did do a lot of stamping here and here. This is one picture here on this side, and I printed this out on art paper, I think, so that I could work on it with pastels. But then what I did was, after I fastened it here, I went ahead and made a ditto mirror copy on this side of just drawing in pastels and kind of mimicked the other side. So this is just a drawing of pastels, and this is the actual photograph here. And it was just a tree that I thought was kind of, if you look at it, it's kind of creepy, because here I am at this monastery, but this tree looked kind of, it was kind of like evil looking when I mirrored it like this, because it looked like it had a weird little face and horns and, you know, hands coming out and stuff. I don't think that was the way that the whole tree looked when we were there, but when I ended up copying it, it ended up kind of freaking me out a little bit. But I did like the shadows. If you look at it just like this, the shadows itself that the tree is making on the back, and the three different textures here from the wall and then the sky are really quite interesting. And then the next page is right here. So this is a transfer where I just took some like matting. It's like clear acrylic glaze, and it's that material, and I brushed it on here, and then I made a copy of a photograph. I think it was through an inkjet, and so when that was still wet, I placed it here, and then, you know, rolled over it with like a roller, and then you lifted it up, and you had some of the image on here. So here, oh, that's a piece of me and my honey just kind of curled up We were sitting on a bench, and then here's some flowers, and this is the bell from the mission, and this is one of the flowers I took, and I printed out a picture of that on some, I think I fed this through the copier. It is some canvas. No, not canvas, it's muslin, because it's really thin. So I put the muslin, I actually taped it to a piece of copy paper. That way it would feed through the machine. And as it came out, you know, it really was a nice material to work on top of with pastel. And so I kind of, you know, I like my rough edges, work that in here and put a little bit of some flowers up here on top. All right, here's another page. And what I really loved was this staircase. This staircase was just so neat because I loved all of the really rough rock edging of it. And then as we were going up, I saw this beautiful white wall and then the beautiful sky, you know, as we came upward. And I just thought that was such a neat contrast, and the colors were so lovely. And I thought that would make a nice contrast with some red on the other side. So this is a picture of one of the roses that I took, and I printed it out on clear translucent paper and fed that through the copy machine. And then on the other side, I was just kind of playing off of the texture here. So I was using, I think I used like a shelf liner, and I dipped it in some acrylic black paint and put it up on top over here to make this texture. And this was a picture of a palm tree in one of our other houses. So I thought that made a really nice, interesting composition. And then this is the last page of the inside of the book. Now this is actually a liner, a see-through paper on top. It's translucent. So the picture itself is underneath here, but it's not really meant to lift up. So there's a picture, an actual photograph back there of a window surrounded by the cactus, and the verse Philippians 4:8 is here. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. And I love that verse, so I put that on the inside. So this is the back of the book, and I built it around, that's our eldest son when he was a teenager. So he was being kind of goofy in that picture. I just love it. So I took a picture of this window here that was at the mission, and I really, really loved just the detail about it. And it seemed like it had a couple of colors here. So I made them darker, and then I played with it and brought those colors out and brought these colors out down here. I kind of decorated, you know, the window a little bit with these little fasteners here. And so I played off of the bars over here, brought some more of this coloring over here. And this is a desert tortoise because we live in the desert, and I just felt like the pattern matched with what was going on here. So it's just really nice and whimsical. It's really all about design, color, space, and form, and just, you know, really this trip was just about observing beauty and how I remember it. Oh, and I forgot to show you these two pages. Those two are at the beginning. I actually skipped right over those. This is one of my favorite pages here, and that's when I was just using this modeling paste, and you know, sometimes people use that and they mix it with paints, and then they make the paints look like, you know, you can write in it or something. It looks kind of like muddy Play-Doh or something like that. It's really cool stuff. But anyway, I used it in here, and as it was drying, I embedded some flowers in it and some collage materials, and then I painted on top of it. And so that has another verse as well, Psalm 23, 1-3, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. And I really love the verses in here because it really reminds me also of, you know, we were there at the mission that day. It was so beautiful there. And so this is the other side to that. And it says San Juan Capistrano. And it is really kind of rough looking, but that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be more like a dream. So back here is a copy of, believe it or not, there's a bird back here on a tree, and that is a copy of something that I cut out of a magazine, a Good Housekeeping magazine. Long time ago, Franklin Mint used to have those plates, right? They would sell like bird plates or something, and they were advertising this, and I thought, what a beautiful picture. So I always kept it, and I made a copy of it and worked it into here. I never knew I would use it in something like this. And here is a picture of a butterfly, and I printed it out on this clear paper here. You can buy this at the store. It's kind of like overhead projector paper, and you can get that at Office Max. So you can copy it and feed it through the copier. And if you have a jet, I don't know if they still have inkjet copiers, but you can make transfers with it and stuff like that. And it really is good for making translucent pics. Okay, and then here's another window there, which was, those windows were really, really interesting. The architecture there was just something else. And here is another photo transfer using the contact paper. So that's it. That is all the book in here. And I want to thank you for coming through a tour of this book. And if you ever want to work on a book, just get one of those really old, or a new kids books that are made of the cardboard, and scratch it all off with some sandpaper, put down some white gesso, acrylic paint, and start decorating. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go for today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.